Ja Morant.
Ja Morant will.
And not only is the NBA reacting to this latest incident involving Morant, but tonight we're hearing from Grizz fans.
Many people are describing his relationship with Ja Morant as a roller coaster. And tonight things have hit a low point with a suspension looming.
To the NBA, you were a little winded down the stretch. That's to be expected. How did you cope with that?
I'm a dog.
From being hyped as the next face of the NBA to becoming the player his own team can't wait to trade, Ja Morant's fall from grace is one of the wildest stories in basketball right now. Once unstoppable, he's now fighting just to keep his career alive. The real question is, did the system fail him, or did he destroy his own shot at greatness piece by piece? Back in 2022, Ja Morant was living every hooper's dream. At just 22 years old, he locked in a massive $193 million deal with the Memphis Grizzlies, a team that had just finished second in the Western Conference. He wasn't just good, he was electric. Fans couldn't get enough of him, brands lined up to work with him, and the league was ready to make him their next global superstar. He became an all-star starter, won Most Improved Player, and even popped up in MVP talks. The NBA was setting him up to be their next big icon. Fast forward just 3 years, and things have completely flipped. Reports say the same team that once built around him is now quietly taking trade calls, hoping to move him before the deadline. What went down? Some say his performance on the court isn't what it used to be, while others point straight to the endless off-court drama that keeps his name in headlines. From questionable choices to non-stop controversies, Ja's reputation has taken a serious hit. Fans don't know what to believe anymore. Is he still that fearless leader who carried the Grizzlies to the top, or just another star drowning in his own fame?
Since the reports that the Grizzlies were listening to trade offers for you, which they had been explicit in the past that they were not doing that. So what was your reaction to the news, and do you think that you will remain with the Grizzlies past the trade deadline?
You said what my reaction was?
Yes, sir.
Live with it.
So what's the truth here? Is Ja another example of a talent crushed under the league's image expectations, or did he throw away a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, one mistake at a time? Ja Morant's basketball journey started in one of the most unexpected places, Murray State, a college so under the radar most NBA fans couldn't even point it out on a map if they tried. But in 2019, this underdog guard flipped the whole script. He became the first player in NCAA history to average 20 points and 10 assists in a single season, the first ever. And he did it at a school barely anyone talked about. That was the moment the world realized Ja Morant was different. That's when the world realized Ja wasn't just another talented kid, he was built different. Then came June 20th, 2019, draft night, the night every hooper dreams about. Ja Morant went second overall to the Memphis Grizzlies, right after Zion Williamson, and at the time, no one questioned it for a second. Zion was the flashy superstar every headline loved, while Ja was seen as the smart, reliable pick, a floor general you could actually build a whole franchise around. From day one, Ja showed Memphis they made the right call. As a rookie, he averaged 17 points and 7 assists per game, numbers that already looked solid on paper, but they didn't even come close to showing how electric he was on the court. Watching Ja play was something else completely. The 6'3" guard had bounced like almost nobody else in NBA history. He was dunking on 7-footers like it was nothing, like height didn't even exist. He exploded past defenders with a first step that looked unreal, as if time froze for everyone else while he moved full speed. Every single night, he turned the game into a movie. Ja wasn't just playing basketball, he was putting on a show. He was unpredictable, explosive, and confident in the best way possible. Every dunk, every pass, every move felt like it was meant to go viral, and most of the time it did. Fans couldn't get enough of it. He played like he had nothing to lose and everything to prove. Every time he launched himself toward the rim, the crowd was already on their feet, holding their breath, waiting for another highlight that didn't even seem real. That wild energy didn't just fill up social media feeds, it transformed the entire Memphis franchise. Before Ja arrived, the Grizzlies were stuck in an endless rebuild. They hadn't seen a playoff run since 2017. The Mark Gasol and Mike Conley era was long gone, and Memphis basketball barely made the news anymore. But the second Ja stepped on the court, everything flipped. He brought back swagger, confidence, and that gritty Memphis edge the city had been missing. He gave the team a new identity, fearless, fast, and loud. The energy in Memphis changed overnight. Fans finally had a reason to believe again, a reason to get loud again. Ja didn't just revive the Grizzlies, he made the city feel alive. Memphis finally had a star who made them believe again. By June 2020, Ja Morant was officially crowned Rookie of the Year, and nobody was shocked. He earned it. Every fearless drive, every jaw-dropping dunk, every clutch moment had fans and even other players talking non-stop. But it was the next season when Ja proved he wasn't just special, he was different. May 21st, 2021, play-in tournament against the Golden State Warriors. The pressure was insane. Win or go home. Most players would have folded, but not. He played like he had ice in his veins, dropping 35 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists, dragging Memphis straight back into the playoffs after a brutal 4-year drought. That night wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Then came the first-round battle against the Utah Jazz, and Ja treated it like his personal stage. He went head-to-head with one of the best defenses in the league and made it look easy. Averaging 30 points and 8 assists per game, he showed everyone that the spotlight didn't scare him, it fueled him. In Game 2, he exploded for 47 points, breaking the Grizzlies' franchise playoff scoring record. Just 21 years old and already rewriting team history like he'd been doing it forever. By the 2021-22 season, Ja's rise was undeniable. The Memphis finished second in the Western Conference, and here's the crazy part. Most of the roster wasn't even 25 yet. They were young, hungry, and fearless, and Ja was the heart of it all. He became an all-star starter, took home the Most Improved Player award, and earned a spot on the All-NBA second team. The Grizzlies weren't just relevant again, they were dangerous. Teams didn't want to see them on the schedule because they knew Ja was bringing chaos every night. His energy, his fire, and his will to win were contagious. At just 22 years old, he finished 7th in MVP voting, and that wasn't handed to him. He earned it. Ja earned every bit of it, proving that when he was locked in, he could go toe-to-toe with anyone in the league. Memphis gave Ja something most young players never get: patience. When he first stepped on the court, he wasn't perfect. He missed shots, made risky passes, and sometimes forced plays that didn't work. But instead of benching him or pointing fingers, the coaches trusted him to figure it out on his own. That trust turned Ja into more than just a star player. It made him the heartbeat of the team every single night. Then June 20th, 2022, the day that everything changed. Memphis locked Ja in with a massive 5-year max deal worth $193 million, with bonuses that could push it all the way to $231 million. It was official. The kid from Murray State, the one most fans hadn't even heard of a few years back, was now one of the faces of the entire NBA. The Grizzlies weren't rebuilding anymore, they were reborn, and Ja was leading the charge. The team had swagger, identity, and real power. Every opponent knew exactly what it meant to face Memphis. You weren't just playing basketball, you were stepping into a battle with Ja Morant's unstoppable fire. The future looked untouchable. Everything was falling into perfect place. He had the talent, the fame, the money, the fans, everything most players dream of. But then came the twist nobody saw coming. Suddenly, the problem wasn't about basketball anymore. The spotlight started following him off the court, and that's where the real trouble began. At first, it didn't seem serious. Ja had always been flashy, emotional, and full of energy. His wild celebrations after those jaw-dropping dunks were part of what made him so fun to watch. Fans loved the attitude, the trash talk, the fearlessness. He carried that villain vibe that made him stand out. It felt real, raw, and exciting. During the 2021-22 season, that bold personality didn't hurt his image, it boosted it. Ja wasn't just a player anymore. He was a show, a brand, a movement. Every time he stepped on the floor, he brought that same edge that made Memphis basketball must-watch TV. But what looks cool under bright arena lights doesn't always work the same way once the cameras turn off. That thin line between confidence and controversy started to blur, and it happened fast. It all began in the summer of 2022, when the first red flags started showing up. What looked like harmless swagger on the court slowly started turning into real-life drama, and that's when everything began to shift. In July 2022, things started to spiral for Ja Morant. A 17-year-old accused him of attacking him during a pickup game at Ja's own house, and the story blew up fast. Reports claimed Ja hit the teen and even threatened him afterwards, but Ja's side told a completely different story. He said he was only defending himself after the teen allegedly made a threat towards his family. In the end, no charges were filed, but the damage was already done. The internet went wild, and suddenly people started looking at Ja differently. That confident, flashy image began to crack, and fans started wondering what was really happening behind the scenes.
Then, just a few months later, another headline dropped, this time involving a shopping mall. It reportedly started after Ja's mother had an argument with a mall employee. Instead of brushing it off, Ja showed up with a group of people, and things quickly got heated with the mall's head of security. Some witnesses claimed Ja said something like, "I'll know when your shift ends." Once again, no charges were filed, but his name was popping up in all the wrong places. At this point, fans and reporters started asking hard questions. Was Ja really in control, or was the crew around him pulling him into chaos? That's when everything hit a breaking point, the night that changed everything. March 4th, 2023. The Grizzlies had just lost to Denver, and a few hours later, around 5:19 a.m., Ja went live on Instagram from inside a strip club. The vibe was exactly what you'd expect from a superstar off duty. Music blasting, flashing lights, bottles everywhere. But then came the moment that set off a firestorm. Ja held up what looked like a gun on camera. The live ended almost instantly, and the account got deleted soon after. But it was too late. The video spread like wildfire across the internet within minutes. This time, it wasn't rumors or gossip. It was clear as day, caught on camera for everyone to see. The internet erupted. For the first time, it looked like Ja's biggest battle wasn't against defenders on the court, but against his own choices off it. The fallout was instant. Critics came for him from every direction, and even longtime fans started losing faith. The same charisma that made him a star now had people questioning everything about him. Just 2 days after the video went viral, Ja made a shocking announcement. He was stepping away from the team to focus on his stress and well-being. It was a move that left everyone wondering if he was finally ready to take accountability or just trying to cool the heat. But the NBA wasn't about to let it slide. On March 14, 2023, the league dropped the hammer, an 8-game suspension without pay, costing him roughly $700,000 from his $12 million salary. The message was clear. This wasn't just about bad press anymore. It was about consequences. At that point, Ja wasn't just fighting for his image, he was fighting to keep his career alive. Commissioner Adam Silver didn't hold back for a second. He publicly called Ja's actions irresponsible and potentially dangerous, making it crystal clear the NBA wasn't taking any of this lightly. The league wanted everyone to know this wasn't just another celebrity slip-up. This was serious. Not long after, Ja dropped a statement saying he didn't support violence and was taking full responsibility for what happened. It sounded like he was ready to change, like he was finally turning a corner. For a minute, it seemed like Ja had learned his lesson and was focused on rebuilding his image. But that hope didn't last long, because just 2 months later, everything fell apart again. May 13th, 2023. Another video hits the internet. another Instagram Live, another gun, another round of chaos. This time, the footage came from a friend's account, showing Ja in a car somewhere in Memphis, rapping along to music and once again flashing what looked like a firearm. The live ended almost instantly, but the damage was already done. Within seconds, the clip spread like wildfire across social media, flooding timelines and news feeds everywhere. But what made this time so much worse wasn't just the act itself, it was the timing. This wasn't a rookie mistake anymore. This came after the suspension, after the talks with the league, and after the apology where he promised he understood how serious his actions were. Yet barely 2 months later, he was right back in the same situation. Fans couldn't believe it, analysts were stunned, and even other players were disappointed. How could someone so talented, so young, and with so much at stake repeat the same mistake that nearly cost him everything the first time? By the next morning, the Memphis Grizzlies had suspended Ja from all team activities, and the NBA immediately launched a new investigation. The disappointment was written all over social media. People weren't just mad, they were heartbroken. The kid who once symbolized energy and hope for the league was now becoming the face of wasted potential. Then came June 16, 2023, the NBA's final verdict. Ja Morant was officially suspended for 25 games to start the 2023-2024 season. No pay, no exceptions. And this time, strict conditions came with it. Before he could even think about stepping back on the court, Ja had to complete counseling programs, go through psychological evaluations, and agree to tight supervision from both the team and the league. For a player once seen as the future of basketball, this wasn't just a punishment, it was a wake-up call. The message was clear. If Ja wanted his career back, he'd have to fight harder than ever, not against defenders, but against the choices threatening to end it all. It was a turning point, the moment everything about Ja Morant's story shifted. The league had sent a loud message. Raw talent wasn't going to save him anymore. Commissioner Adam Silver didn't hold back this time either. He said Ja's recurrence is alarming, making it crystal clear the NBA was done tolerating any kind of reckless behavior involving weapons. That's when the story flipped completely. Ja Morant wasn't being seen as the passionate young star who just needed time to grow anymore. Now he was the wild card, the unpredictable one nobody could figure out. 2 gun videos, 2 Instagram lives, just 2 months apart, all of it happening after a suspension, after his public apologies, and after promising to turn things around. To a lot of people, it looked like Ja hadn't learned anything from the chaos he'd already survived. Fans who defended him through everything were suddenly quiet. Even the league, which had once groomed him to be its next global face, was running out of patience. The excitement that once surrounded Ja's name now came with tension. Nobody knew what version of him would show up next. But here's where it gets deeper. Because yeah, Ja made mistakes, no question about it. Still, underneath all that drama lies a much bigger question. Is the NBA even built to handle someone like Ja anymore? By 2025, the league isn't just about basketball, it's an entertainment empire. Every dunk, every quote, every offhand comment goes viral in seconds. It's not just about how you play anymore, it's about how you look, how you act, how you fit into a brand that never switches off. The NBA is as much about image as it is about skill. Maybe Ja wasn't ready for that kind of non-stop spotlight, for a world where a single split-second choice can rewrite your entire reputation. Because in today's NBA, one wrong move doesn't just stay local, it explodes worldwide instantly. The modern NBA isn't just a league, it's a billion-dollar machine. And since Adam Silver took over back in 2014, the strategy has been clear as day. Make basketball global while keeping its image polished and sponsor-friendly. The league wants stars who dominate on the court and shine off it. Players who can sell sneakers, land endorsements, and stay free of controversy. It's not just about putting up numbers, it's about being marketable.
And financially, that formula works. TV deals keep hitting record highs, franchise values keep climbing, and basketball has turned into one of America's biggest global exports. But that same polished image the league protects so carefully, though, is also what makes stories like Ja's explode even bigger. Because when a player steps outside that perfect image, even for a second, the whole world notices, and they don't let it go easily. But in a league built on perfect smiles and spotless reputations, a player like Ja Morant, raw, emotional, unpredictable, was always bound to clash with the image the NBA works so hard to protect. The system thrives on control, and Ja, he's never been the type to play by the script. That kind of success, that global spotlight, it doesn't come free. It demands conformity. In today's NBA, even something as small as a fired-up celebration, a long stare-down, or a gesture that feels too bold can instantly get labeled as bad optics. You're not just an athlete anymore, you're a brand. And brands, they have to be protected at all costs. Every move, every post, every reaction, it's all being watched, judged, and monetized. One slip, and suddenly the same passion that made you famous can turn into a PR nightmare overnight. But when you really look back at the history of the league, the icons who built the NBA weren't polished puppets for TV. They were raw, ruthless, and real. Michael Jordan wasn't just a competitor, he was a storm that never stopped. He talked trash to teammates, humiliated opponents, and gambled like it was a side hustle, but nobody dared to suspend him. Why? Because he won. He brought titles, trophies, and money. And when you win big, everything else suddenly seems easier to forgive.
That's the truth about the NBA's unspoken rule. Championships cover everything. Then there was Kobe Bryant, back in 2003. He faced a serious legal accusation that dominated headlines everywhere. The case was eventually dropped, but the hit to his reputation was brutal. Sponsors pulled out, fans turned their backs, everyone except Nike, who stood by him through the storm. And a few years later, Kobe rebuilt his image from the ground up, grinding his way back to become one of the NBA's most respected and legendary figures. His comeback wasn't just about basketball, it was about redemption. And then there's LeBron James. Early in his career, he wasn't the calm, media-trained superstar everyone sees today. He was emotional, outspoken, and sometimes rubbed people the wrong way. But over time, the league and his team molded him into the perfect global face of basketball, a symbol of control, professionalism, and pure marketability. That transformation didn't happen by accident. It was built carefully, piece by piece, to fit the NBA's global image. Because in this era, being great on the court isn't enough. You've got to look perfect doing it. And that's exactly where Ja Morant keeps colliding with the system. He's not fake, he's not filtered, he's just real. And sometimes, being real doesn't fit neatly into a billion-dollar brand. So yeah, Ja Morant made real mistakes. Those gun videos were reckless, dangerous, and completely unnecessary. Nobody's denying that. But when you stack up his punishment next to how the NBA has handled major controversies in the past, it's hard not to notice something feels off. Take Gilbert Arenas, for example. Back in 2009, he actually brought real guns into the Washington Wizards locker room during a heated confrontation and got hit with a 50-game suspension. Or think about Ron Artest in 2004. During the infamous Malice at the Palace, he jumped into the stands and fought with fans live on national TV with millions watching. He got 86 games for that wild scene. Those moments were pure chaos, caught live, broadcast everywhere, and impossible to ignore. But Ja's situation, it happened off the court and online. Still serious, sure, but not even close to the same level of public danger. Even the Players Association stepped in, arguing that his 25-game suspension was excessive and inconsistent with past cases. But none of that mattered. The NBA stood firm. This wasn't just about Ja Morant anymore. They were making an example out of him. The message was loud and clear. This new version of the NBA isn't just about the game. It's about image control. The league wasn't warning just Ja.
They were warning everyone, sponsors, teams, and the next wave of young stars were all watching closely. The NBA was saying, step out of line and we'll remind you who runs the show. In this era, no matter how big your talent is, the brand comes first. And that's the hard truth. Because in today's NBA, the image is untouchable. You can be the most explosive player alive, but if you mess with the league's clean, marketable look, you're done. They'll either polish you until you fit their mold or fade you out fast. That's the unspoken rule of modern basketball. But here's the twist. The league needs players like Ja. As much as the NBA preaches order, it thrives on chaos. The excitement, the drama, the unpredictability, it's what keeps people watching. Ja Morant brings that fire. His swagger, his energy, his insane highlights, they're what light up timelines and bring fans from every corner of the world together. Every dunk, every move, every viral clip is what makes basketball feel alive. But that same spark that makes Ja magnetic, it's also what makes him risky. The NBA wants his passion, but only when it fits neatly into the brand. And that's the real tension, because the same fire that makes Ja a superstar is the exact thing the league system keeps trying to control. When it comes to the NBA's spotless image, the league knows exactly what it wants. Stars who shine but never step out of line. Players who can go viral without being too real, who can bring energy without crossing the line into chaos. They want passion, but not too much. Swagger, but only if it's sponsor safe. Intensity, but neatly wrapped in a glossy, global-friendly package. Every highlight has to be marketable, every quote polished, every move calculated to fit perfectly into the NBA's global brand. And that's exactly where Ja Morant refuses to fit. He's never been the type to tone it down or play pretend for the cameras. His edge is what defines him. John doesn't try to look perfect. He plays raw, he plays real, and he said it straight up before. He doesn't want to be the face of the NBA. He'd rather be the villain people respect because they know he can back it up. And honestly, that mindset makes total sense. In basketball culture, the villains have always had their place. The players who don't care about smiling for the spotlight, but demand because their game speaks louder than any PR campaign ever could. From the legends who talk trash to the ones who thrived off tension, the bad guy has always made the game more exciting. But here's the thing. Today's NBA doesn't have much room for that kind of energy anymore. The league only tolerates edge when it comes with wins. As long as you're stacking championships and bringing in views, they'll let you play the rebel. But the second you slip, that same edge turns into a target. Right now, Ja's story is split down the middle. Two sides of the same coin. On one side, he's a once-in-a-generation talent, a player with highlight reels that make people stop scrolling. On the other, his career is still waiting for that defining championship moment, the one that silences every critic. Just look at what he's already done. His career highs are insane. 52 points in a single game, 17 assists in another, 13 triple-doubles, including one in the playoffs. He's got the 2020 Rookie of the Year award, the 2022 Most Improved Player, and 2 All-Star selections already under his belt. And in the postseason, the numbers don't lie. 26 points and 8 assists per game across 22 playoff appearances. That's elite by any standard. During that 2022 playoff run against Minnesota and Golden State, he was nearly averaging a triple-double through 9 games, going toe-to-toe with seasoned veterans and still looking like the best player on the court. The raw ability is there. The impact is undeniable. But in a league that now values optics just as much as output, even greatness can get buried if it comes wrapped in controversy. Ja Morant is living proof that in today's NBA, being real might just be the riskiest move of all. Ja Morant's talent puts him among the most electrifying players of his entire generation, but his refusal to play by the NBA's rulebook might be the one thing that keeps him from ever being its chosen face. He's got everything the league could ever want in a star, except the willingness to fit into their perfect image. But there's another side to Ja's story, the one that doesn't shine as bright on paper. His playoff record tells a tougher truth. 9 wins and 14 losses, with just 1 series victory across 4 playoff appearances, and still no trip to the conference finals. Back in 2023, facing the Lakers, Ja battled through injuries and still dropped 24 points per game, fighting like a warrior. But despite his effort, the Grizzlies went down 4-2 in the series. Fast forward 2 years later to 2025, and it got even rougher. Against Denver, Ja's numbers dipped to just 18 points per game, and Memphis got swept 4-0. That's where Ja's whole villain image starts to crack, because in the NBA, respect isn't earned through attitude, it's earned through wins. Legends aren't made by highlight reels, they're made in those do-or-die moments when everything is falling apart and you still find a way to pull your team back from the edge. Those are the moments that define greatness, and he's shown flashes of that brilliance. The dunks, the comebacks, the viral moments, he's had plenty of them, but he still hasn't sealed it with postseason glory. The talent screams superstar, but the record hasn't caught up yet. The real concern, those flashes came when Ja was at his absolute best, the years when he looked unstoppable. But fast forward to January 2026 and things look very different. Right now, he's averaging 19 points and 7.6 assists per game. Solid numbers, sure, but nowhere near the explosion he brought in 2021-2022 when he was torching defenses with 27 points a night on 50% shooting. That drop-off is hard to ignore. The spark that once made him unstoppable now feels dimmer, and the league has noticed. Ja's still got the skills, the athleticism, and that killer instinct, but somewhere along the way, the chaos off the court, the injuries, and the pressure of constant scrutiny seem to have taken their toll. He's still a star, but the question hanging over everything is whether Ja Morant can ever find that fire again, the one that once made him look untouchable. Because talent can take you far, but in the NBA, legacy is built on one thing: winning when it matters most.
The same player who once looked unstoppable, the one hyped as the next face of the NBA, now looks trapped between two worlds: who he wants to be and what the league expects him to become. And in that tug of war, it doesn't seem like anyone's winning. Statistically, things have been rough. Ja shooting just 41% from the field and 26% from deep, even though he's firing up more than 11 three-point attempts per game, the worst shooting percentages of his entire career. And that's in only 28 games this season. He's already missed 12 games because of those nagging knee and ankle issues that just won't go away. His player efficiency rating, PER, has fallen off too, now sitting at 20.8, a massive drop from the elite 28.0 he put up during his peak seasons. But there's one number that really tells the story better than anything else. When Ja's off the court, the Grizzlies post a plus 6.2 net rating per 100 possessions. When he's on the floor, that number drops below 0. That stat says it all. It's not just about the shots he's missing. It's about how far the team's rhythm and confidence have shifted since his rise. And now, as of January 2026, the noise around the league is getting louder than ever. Multiple outlets across the US are reporting that the Memphis Grizzlies are officially listening to trade offers for Ja Morant ahead of the February 6th deadline. The rumored teams in the mix? Milwaukee, Toronto, and Sacramento. But here's the twist. None of them see him as a guaranteed franchise savior anymore. They see him as a gamble, a once-in-a-generation talent who could still rewrite the story, or a star who might never climb back to what he was supposed to become. And that's where the real truth hits hard. Ja Morant's problem was never about wanting to be basketball's bad boy. It's not even about rejecting the NBA's clean, sponsor-friendly image. The deeper issue is how he's tried to prove himself, how he's tried to show the world who he wants to be. If you want to be a legend, you can't just talk like one. You have to show it every single night on the floor. You dominate until nobody dares to question your name. You lead, you win, and you stay locked in no matter what distractions come your way. That's what separates the greats from the ones who fade. Right now, Ja's standing at a crossroads, the biggest one of his career. The question hits harder than ever.
can Ja Morant rebuild what he's lost? Can he silence the noise, take back control, and remind everyone why he was once seen as the future of the NBA? Can he earn back the respect, the trust, and the legacy that once felt unstoppable? Or has the damage gone too far this time? Has the chaos finally caught up to him in a way even his unreal talent can't fix? The clock's ticking, and the league is watching. Because whatever Ja Morant does next won't just define his career, it'll decide if he still has a future as one of basketball's brightest stars. So here we are, the story of Ja Morant, a player who once looked destined to rule the NBA, now standing on the edge of redemption or regret. His journey has been wild, unbelievable highs, crushing lows, and everything in between. From highlight reels that broke the internet to headlines that broke his image, Ja's name has never stopped sparking conversation. But this moment right now, it's his biggest test yet. Every move he makes from here on out will decide what kind of legacy he leaves behind. Will he rise from the chaos, rebuild his image, and remind everyone why he was once seen as the future of basketball? Or will he become the cautionary tale of what happens when fame, pressure, and emotion collide too fast? Because no matter what anyone says, Ja Morant's story isn't over. The clock's still ticking, the lights are still on, and the game's still his to play. The question is whether he's ready to lock back in, block out the noise, and take back everything that once belonged to him. The league might doubt him, critics might count him out, and fans might be split, but greatness doesn't disappear overnight. And if there's one thing Ja's proven again and again, it's that when he's focused, he can turn the impossible into a moment that nobody forgets. So now it's up to him. Does he let the world write his ending, or does he grab the pen and rewrite it himself? Because legends aren't remembered for how they fall, they're remembered for how they fight their way back. If you've been locked in with this story, hit that subscribe button right now. More stories like this, more raw truth, more deep dives, and more breakdowns of the moments that shake the game are coming your way. Stay tuned, because the Ja Morant saga is far from finished, and the next chapter might just be his biggest comeback.